Hi, Genevieve.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, good. I like your green scarf. It's pretty.
Thank you. You need to teach me everything you learned with Malcolm, because I missed the two last lessons where he taught. So
okay. So I think we did Jill, or Malcolm, you can explain.
No.
Oh no, okay.
Now, didn't you guys get an email from me that listed the last two classes? Go back and watch those classes. Each of them is almost an hour long, so I can't repeat what's on there. But if you really want in depth of the 6 moves that we've done, you're going to have to watch those videos.
Okay.
So, Genevieve, if you're gonna take point on this, that's great. Anybody who wants can take point any day. And you want to explain all that stuff, go for it. I absolutely encourage you to do that. There's, in case you can't tell, part of my plan here is to encourage you guys to teach. Teaching is very different from learning, from being a student. It will force you to learn this in a way that nothing else will. When you got to teach this to somebody else, you got to go through a thinking process and a process of finding the right words and the right examples and the right everything to get these ideas across. At least 50% of my understanding of these moves or any other moves have come from teaching it. You just really pulls things together. So I absolutely encourage you to teach. So Genevieve, if you want to go through 1 or 2 or 3 or all these moves and teach them some of the stuff that I put out there, and or some of the stuff you have discovered, absolutely I encourage you to do that. But another thing that you can do on these Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday classes is also just practice. Mm-hmm. Because Monday or Friday and Monday was so much talking and this and that, and we did practice a little bit, but that's very different from just shutting up and really just getting into it. So I leave it up to you. You guys do what seems good for you. Any questions, any comments?
Not yet.
All right, guys, go for it.
Well, what I was going to suggest is if you give us screen sharing, we could run part of the video from one of the 2 of the last lessons.
I don't know. I'm happy to give you screen sharing. I don't know how to do that. How do you do that?
You would go into participants.
Yes.
And so right now, it's like if we look at it, it says Malcolm Dean host. And then with, since you're the host, you have capabilities. It's when you roll over one of the other people in the list, there's a mute button, and then next to it is a more, and below that is, it can make co-host is one of those options.
So just make everybody a co-host.
Or just one person is all it takes, because only one person would really need to be able to share.
Okay, then at least for today, I'm going to make Genevieve the co-host, and then I'll mute myself so that I don't inadvertently shift the camera up to here. I'll be here, so if you need me, I'll hear you. Just all scream, and I'll come back. But we'll make Genevieve the co-host today. But this is something that everybody can share. So as far as I'm concerned, every day we can have a new co-host. So let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Okay, I'm going to go to participants.
Mm-hmm.
4. And let's see. That must be asked to unmute. More. Make host. Change host.
Okay. It only has
Ouch.
make host.
Bad
Okay.
sound.
I'll trust, if you trust Genevieve. There you go.
Yeah, Genevieve, unmute yourself there.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so I'm going to mute myself.
I guess he muted himself.
Hi, Malcolm. We missed you. Lots of love.
I said, go for it, guys.
We got it. Okay. Jill and Catherine, one idea I have, instead of watching the video, is just go through the list, because Catherine does know some of these from previous studying. So we could just review the ones that I think Catherine knows, and then we could pick one or two that you don't know, Catherine, and work on that.
Fine with me.
Do you like that, Jill? Is that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So Yang Qi clears tension, number 1. That's a Sunday morning exercise where we gather and like wash a wave of Qi through your whole body, all the way down to your feet, out the bottoms of your feet. Catherine, do you know that one?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yin Yang harmony, that's the one we were doing during Pirate Qigong, the little doggy paddle one. Bear presses palms is like straight up and down. Yeah, I think Catherine knows that one too. And then Emperor's cartwheels was really big, kind of yin yang harmony. I think
I don't know.
That one you don't know. Okay, we can start with that one. Okay, so let's do number 4, Emperor's cartwheels. Sorry, I just have to set up my screen so I can see you guys. Okay. So the way I've been thinking about this one, the yin yang harmony is these little circles next to your hips. And it feels really nice. And we talked, Catherine, about the importance of shifting your weight during this, so that part of why yin and yang are in harmony is because one side is kind of going up and losing weight at the same time you're shifting your weight to the other side. And then Emperor's cartwheels is like literally a huge version of that. So like you have this enormous circle because it's the Emperor's cart, so his cartwheels are the biggest cartwheels. And it is purposely big. Something cool Malcolm explained was part of these exercises is exploring your range of motion so that you can always make it smaller, but you can't make it bigger unless you've actually practiced. So sort of purposely taking up space with this one.
And you still shift your weight from one side to the other.
That's correct.
Okay.
Jill, do you remember anything else that we talked about for this one?
No, but I was going to make the comment that I can't think of any exercise that does not involve shifting weight.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
And then we also did reverse. So like the cart's going in reverse, your danshan's turning over backwards, but still shifting your weight, still kind of the same idea.
And I'm also wondering if the splitting of the dantian, that,
oh,
yeah, that's also what's happening here.
Catherine, does that make sense to you, or do you want Jill to explain splitting the danshan? Maybe explain it, Jill.
And now I have to find the words.
You brought it on yourself.
would say that the dantian is moving in the same direction in this case, but it's at kind of like moving at different, not speed, but it's like kind of like the idea of like one side is opening while the other side is closed. So kind of like a bellows. It's like opening, closing, opening, closing. I guess that's a good way to think about it. How does that sound?
Sounds clear. Now, just one question. When you do that, do you happen to feel your arms really heavy after a while, or it's just me?
Sure, yeah. If they're dripping honey, they've got a lot of honey on your hands. You're pulling up lots of chi, so yeah.
I think we did talk about that too, that it's kind of like purposely heavy. Like if you make it empty and it doesn't get your arms tired, then it's not really the exercise. You're kind of like purposely feeling the weight of doing this. You are drawing up a lot of chi and then letting it down. But we're also doing it too fast. So something that came up yesterday was that this should be really meditative. So we should be going a lot slower. The cart should just be like plodding along. And then I don't get so tired, frankly, if I do it slower. I'm gonna go back the other way forward again. The other thing about splitting the danshen that helped me one time was if it's like a balloon, when it's not splitting, you sort of like twist the balloon and get two little spheres, and one of them is going one way while the other one's going the other way. That sometimes helps me. Yeah, we were going way too fast. I think it's supposed to be like 3 times slower than what we were doing. We're really, really relaxing. Oh, Catherine, one more funny thing we talked about was like, don't think about it when you're doing this. Like you shouldn't, right now while we're learning, we have to like intellectualize it, but when you're actually practicing, you don't have to think about like, I'm pulling up this, or I'm putting that down, or I'm closing or opening. You're just sort of relax into doing it and let your body just do what it's doing. Go back to your way.
Oh, and we should probably also talk about the energies. Yeah, Peng, Lu, An, and Shi being the expansion, turning, dropping, and condensing. And I think in this one, it's Peng energy, and there's a little Lu with the turning, and not so much the Ang, the dropping, but the condensing happens. So I guess that's one way to think of it, is when one side is in Peng energy expansion, the other side is condensing.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Jill. That reminds me of one other important thing that came up for the this other move, the bear presses palms. That's really just Peng and An. So that one really is just up and down, like more linear. You're not going around and using all four. Basically kind of doing Peng on one side, An on the other, and just reverse it. So that helped me understand the bear presses palms, to realize it's not circular. It's really up and down with your hands. And that's in contrast, like this way, that's in contrast to these big swimming circles that we're doing.
Okay.
I'm going to do a time check. So it's 9:35, which means we have like 25 more minutes. We could maybe try next move, pick stars to the moon, number 5.
Sure.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can remember this one. So this one also reminds me of a Sunday morning one where you'd like grab chi and bring it in through your forehead and down to the danshan. But in this case, we're like grabbing a star and bringing it down to the moon, which is your danshan. So 2 fingers and a thumb, you grab a star and pull it down across you. It also kind of reminds me of that part of muscle tendon where we're grabbing and turning all the way down. It doesn't have as much action, but it's still kind of a similar movement. And you just go on both sides, 1 star on each side. And I also get some lazy dragon feeling from this one. Catherine, how's your brain? Do you want to try one more? I think you sort of know this one. This is the insert palms into sleeves is the, I think it's the one we were calling the butterfly during Pirate Qigong. And we practiced it a little more, so we learned a little bit more about how it works.
Can you show me? I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
Right now it doesn't ring a bell, but maybe when I see you, it will.
Yeah, so the way we were doing it for Pirate Qigong was what we could remember, which was like a butterfly, and you're kind of like coming back to your shoulder.
Yeah.
And then we switch sides.
Mm-hmm.
And what we learned, so that's this move. And what we just talked about a little bit more was like the precision of the movement. So if you're doing insert palms into sleeves, or it's like putting your hand behind the other hand to go into that sleeve. And then on the other side, you're putting that hand into the sleeve. And then what Malcolm actually prefers is a shoulder version where you actually are more like touching your own shoulder and going out, and then going to the other shoulder and going out. And I actually kind of like this one.
Yeah, it's basically the history of it is that with just the arms, that's the traditional way of doing it, but it was Master Feng and switched it up and made it a more vigorous and expansive.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and Malcolm gave it a new name. So when you do the expansive one, not the sleeves one, it was birches swaying in the breeze. And so I can kind of feel my branches, my whole trunk and my feet. That's like a tree swaying. Ooh, and I was going way too fast again, so a lot slower. Lot less windy day.
And you don't feel your arm getting really tired?
I don't think I
Yeah.
do. A little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay.
I do use my daimai in this one. So I'm picturing this like huge inner tube around the middle, and my arms are kind of resting on top of it. So I kind of don't have to hold them up, but only when I'm concentrating.
Use that Pung energy.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Jill. This is definitely an expanding and contracting deal. Maybe we'll close because we don't want Catherine's arms to fall off. And I'm going to check the time again. We have 15 more minutes. Does anyone want to do anything in particular? You can do muscle tendon or animals.
You can do a stick form.
Stick form. Do you want to lead, Catherine?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, I said awesome. I'm sorry. I just read an essay about how this is the most overused word in America in particular. So I'm trying not to use it. But
Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't even notice that it was the most used word.
Apparently, we are all using it for everything all the time. So I'll just say fantastique.
Fantastic. Yes, exactly. We do say that a lot in France. Okay.
Thank you. That was lovely.
You're welcome.
All right, team, we have 5 more minutes, which I think means to me we might wrap now, unless there's anything else anyone wants to do.
Fine.
Okay. Have
Good
a wonderful
job,
rest
guys.
of your day. Oh, thank you, Malcolm.
I was listening to everything. I was working on the website at the same time. That's working. The
All
real stuff.
We'll see you guys tomorrow then.
Have a good day.
Ciao. You guys also have a
Ciao.
good day, Catherine.
Bye.
Bye.